Welcome to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, the show that offers you tips and strategies to help speakers build the business of their dreams. Now here's your host, 30-year industry veteran and business coach, Jane Atkinson.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. For those of you tuning in on our YouTube channel, you will see that I am not at my desk. I'm actually coming to you from the lake on eclipse day, so it might be getting pretty dark in here. I have no idea if that's going to affect us at all. Today, we're talking about the industry, the highs, the lows, what's new and exciting in preview videos, and of course, who better to discuss this with than my friend, Chris West of Video Narrative. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
It's always so good to be with you, Jane. We all hear your voice, and it's kind of like, a weekly part of our, the whole speaker industry is just weekly part of our rhythm.
Oh, well, thank you so much for saying that. Now, I actually need to give huge flowers to you, my friend, because I don't know if we've talked about this on other podcasts before or since, but during the darkest hours of COVID, you, my friend, shone the light and came in and plucked me out of my darkness and drew me in and said, "Hey, Jane, we need to do something." And you said, "People need us now more than ever." And I wrote that on a Post-it note, which I would show you if I was in my normal office. I still look at that Post-it note every single day. You drew me out of a bad place. It was only about a few days into COVID, but at the same time, I was in the thick of it. I was in the dooms and glooms, and Chris is like, "Yeah, let's do this." And I'm like, "Okay." And we decided to do a brand camp, I don't know, a month-long thing. And it was some of the best work I think has ever come out of me. But week one, I wasn't even with you. Like, I was still reeling from COVID. Do you remember that?
I do. And you know what? I think it's something that we all fall into, in that sometimes I hear people say things like this. And let me meet with some of my speaking friends and colleagues, and let me ask, how are you experiencing the industry? What are you seeing work well? And what people do with their words is pass around ideas that can either be gifts or they can be toxic, right? And I have made a personal commitment to myself, because this has been a passion of mine for so long, but because I've seen it work so much, that I create the reality around me. I create my future, and there's never a time where someone could tell me the industry is doing well or not doing well. Like, hey, a lot of companies have frozen their budgets. A lot of events aren't working well. Speaking is going down. Because on any given week, you and I have conversations with maybe 12 to 16 speakers, and you can find someone who is as booked as you can possibly be. And you can find someone who's saying the industry is not doing well.
Yes.
And they're both happening at the same time. Right. And so it's that decision point, that inflection point for us every single day, that either I'm in control of my life, or I think the external world is, coming at me and I've got to deal with it. And I've just made a decision. I am far, far greater internally than I am externally. And anytime I'm feeling that little part where I feel off, I'm going to sit down. And if it takes me 2 hours, I'm not getting up until I feel differently. Because
so
there's no external that's greater than our internal, ever.
It's so good. And that's reinforcing this mindset piece. So not even a month later, Chris, after you pulled me out of the doldrums, and literally you were the one that flipped I could have gone out and found evidence by asking people, "Are you in bad shape?" Like, I could have gone out and found more and more evidence that supported my idea that our industry was in trouble. But instead, I remembered about maybe day 4 or 5 into COVID, hey, wait a second, I don't make decisions based on fear. I went and spent a month later, $18,000 US, living in Canada, that's 30% more, by the way, to get certified in a very particular mindset thought model. And that whole thought model process has not only changed my life, but all of my clients now get the benefit of that. And I know now that people are not going to get results if they haven't done the upstairs work in their own brains.
It's
Our thoughts equal our results. I mean, that's literally the bottom line on it. And so I wouldn't, anyway, I just want to say thank you, my friend, because you carried me for week 1 of our brand camp, and then weeks 2, 3, and 4. And I thought your content was absolutely genius. And by the way, if you want to see that, go to my YouTube channel, just Google Jane Atkinson, and you'll get my YouTube channel, and you'll see the brand camp 4-week process. It was so good, Chris, and it still holds up.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the case whenever you need to get back to stuff. What we did was so good. We focused on what's the story you're telling with your brand, what's your website look like, how do you outline a really good video, and then what should you be doing in your sales process. And that 4-part process, it's always going to be the way to go back to things.
I love that you remember boom, 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 what it was about. Oh, so good. Okay, so tell everybody, let's pretend people don't know who you are, the famous Chris West of Video Narrative. I mean, you have built such a following in this industry. Almost everybody I know knows you. Tell everybody, though, if they don't know you, what your business model is today.
Yeah. If it's okay, can I just share a quick story to begin? Because we do story, right?
Please.
When I was in graduate school, I was studying narrative therapy. It was 2012, 2013, and a speaker reached out to me. And it was just a local speaker. I didn't know much about the speaker industry. And he said, can you do a video for me for a speaker video? And I didn't know anything about speaker videos, but I did know that the brain processes information in story. And so I made it into a story video. That video got shown at the 2013 Influence Conference, and got shown in a panel, and a number of, it was a panel that had a beer owner and a speaker agent and, someone else. And they basically were reviewing speaker videos. Right. And they said, this really broke the mold of everything we told you guys to do. Like, it completely broke the mold. But do you notice it was the only video we didn't turn off? And the reason is it was telling a complete story, and you can't get to, if you're right in the middle of a story, you don't want to find out what doesn't happen in the end. Right.
Yes. You can't leave.
I started getting called by speakers, and the second speaker I worked with is someone who's been on your podcast named Jerry O'Brien. And Jerry, former brand manager of Coors Light, Red Robins, he's done a lot in many multi-billion-dollar brands. And Jerry in his keynote tells the story of Coors Light in 2005, which was a very generic beer. It was very generic. You could just take their can out, put another can in. The commercials didn't change. So they asked themselves, what do they wanted to be? They found out the only thing in the market that they could be that wasn't taken was cold. And they decided, could we say we're the coldest beer? And here's where this is all leading is I was watching this keynote, and I found that I loved working with professional speakers because I was so inspired by them, and I'm obsessed with learning. And I am very, very good at hearing an idea and then turning it into a story. Like, my brain does it without, like, just instantly. And I thought, I wonder if I could become the coldest, name in the speaker industry for production, for video work. And I'm only sharing this story simply because I think it's so important when you're starting out in your speaking business, wherever you are, to have a guiding vision that you make every decision on. Every single decision is based on this vision. And so this was 2013. I'm in graduate school. I'm just wrapping up my graduate school. I'm planning on being a therapist or working with kids. I wasn't necessarily planning. I was literally paying my way through graduate school, doing video work because I'd done it for years. So I quit everything. I take a sheet of paper out and I write, by 2018, I'll be the most trusted name for video production in the speaker industry. And then I put it up on my computer. And from then on, I made every single decision based on whether that would take me to that goal or that would not. And there's so many names that people know, like Cassandra Worthy, which is a great example, where when I met Cassandra in 2019, she was already killing it. There was nothing we did besides just help her do what she does. But she told me, Chris, my vision is that my name will be synonymous with change. Someone says change, they'll say Cassandra. Right. And I love when I meet people who have a guiding vision that's guiding their brand. It doesn't even have to be that big, but like, I will tell you that the origin story of my work was deciding that I'll get there. And I would just say for all of my clients, I'm always asking you, what's your vision that you're making all decisions on? Because
Oh,
we
I
do help
love that.
people kind of do that. So they'll to answer it all at the end is that we started with this video, but it was around what would make us the most trusted. And so the way that our team does work is that we help people in 3 stages. One, their brand clarity, figuring out what that brand story is they're telling, their category of 1. Stage 2, their speaker videos and websites. And stage 3, that launch and the marketing plan that really grows them. And a lot of
Right.
times we work kind of seamlessly in a way that you work the coaching and the mindset, and you help people get really clear about their brand, but now they're ready for their assets, right? A
Yes.
lot of times you and I kind of collaborate back and forth. That's
Yes. And I know that when I get a Chris West cooked cooked speaker, they're coming to me like almost fully cooked. I mean, my job is so much easier because, and I've used cook in different ways before, but what I mean by that is that they are ready to launch and we can go straight at it and they have everything in place and ready to go. And I've had so many clients who have used your services. So there is something new on the horizon in your business. I mean, let's just dive in. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, what we have found is that speed, right, is where we're at. And Jay Baer, who does a lot of research in the industry, right, in many different ways, he did a lot of really fascinating research to find that time is what people care about the most in the world
Yes.
right now after COVID. It's like you go in and it's like you try to get a couch and it's like your couch will be ready in 8 months. It's like, what?
Yes. Being
Right?
the person waiting for furniture right now, I can completely relate to that.
We care a lot about time,
Mhm.
and our video work and our branding work, it is something where someone is becoming more, right? So a lot of our work takes about 4 to 6 months. It's just a process where we're looking for the right events. They're growing a lot in their work and their stuff. And I know that in each of our lives, we have that inflection point where we can only go so far. And I realize for us, this 4 to 6 month isn't for everyone.
Mhm.
And so we knew that with AI and with other stuff going on, speakers now more than ever, the name of the game is to be strategically found, right? So you are everywhere someone's looking, and lo and behold, they find you as a speaker and they want to be like, yes, I found this amazing speaker. You made it, so they found you.
Mhm.
Right. And one of the biggest ways to do that is have really steady up regular video. And so I, behind the scenes, wanted to create a way to do that. I knew international editors was the only way to make that possible at a cost-effective way for people. But I kept thinking, how in the world can I find and train and retain quality? Because we kind of base our brand at the highest quality level with international editors. And instead of trying to figure out the how, I just asked myself every day as I ran, what's the way I can do it? What's the way I can do it? What's the way I can do it? And as my
Good question.
brain kept asking that question every day, I remembered that on Instagram, I had seen a lot of ads for this travel company where they said, get back from your travels, upload your video within 2 days or 72 hours. We're going to have a great travel video for you to remember these memories.
Oh.
And I was like, man, I love their ads. I love how effective they are. I reach out to the founder, and the founder goes, no way. He said, we were just in a meeting yesterday where my business partner and I were saying, we have done this as far as we can go in the travel industry. I mean, there's nowhere higher we can go. We have dialed it in. We have international editors everywhere in the world. People can upload their content in 72 hours. They have a great video. We have thousands of 5-star reviews. But we don't know how to do this for any other industry. And I was
Mm.
like, I am looking to do this for the speaker industry. And so they had all of the things I needed, and I had all the things they needed. And we just got together. And I just will tell you, this is that mindset piece. This is that whole thing, is that I don't worry about the how. I just worry about the vision and the clarity of what I'm after. And I
Yes.
ask for it every day. What's a way? What's another way? What's another way? What's another way? And we got together, and it was so exciting. We have a meeting this morning. We have a meeting every week. From the day we met till today, I still get giddy to talk to these two
Oh,
guys because we have so much fun together. But
that's awesome.
what we designed was a way for speakers to fill out a creative brief, upload their video content, and within 2 weeks, they have a really, really good speaker video.
Wow.
And it took
So
us months, and I mean 10 to 12 months of strategically figuring this out and testing it and testing it. And because I didn't want to launch it or let anyone know about it until people could say, wow, that was an incredible experience.
that is so cool. Tell everybody kind of which level of speaker, let's say the Cassandra Worthies at the top end, 30,000 plus keynote fees, to the just starting out speaker. Where do you see people this being perfect for them?
I mean, it certainly does work well for emerging speakers because the rate is like the minimal of the market. To get an amazing speaker video for 5,500, like a really high quality one, is
Okay.
very, very competitive and very good, right?
Okay.
Because these are trained editors who know the formula that makes someone say yes. And that took us years to figure out, right? But we find that it's an amazing offering for really like established speakers who are like, I don't want to redo my whole thing, but I need a new video for a new topic.
And I already have, and I already have a really strong vision of what they can fill out the creative brief. Tell everybody where they should go if they want to learn more about this.
Yeah. So it's called Outspeak is the brand that we developed, and it's outspeakmedia.com. And people can do it to experience it. But I think what it does, Jane, is we were talking about this podcast being more of a update on the industry, right? Mm-hmm. And I just think there's a lot to be said there because so much has happened over the past, 3 years, as we all know. But it's incredible to me how little time people give videos now.
You mean the buyer?
The buyer, right?
Yeah.
And so, you and I both, you come from this background and you know what it's like to be watching a lot of different videos and choosing the speakers, and you know what it's like to work with different people. And it's gotten less and less and less where people with consistency say, I give 2 minutes max.
So let me give you a painted picture of that. When I was with International Speakers Bureau in Dallas, 6, 7, 8 of us would sit around a boardroom table. And back then, excuse me, we were putting VHS into the player. Mm-hmm. VHS is a type of video, everybody, if you're too young to know. And inevitably, someone in the room would say next.
Yep.
And it, excuse me, it would go really, really quickly. And if you didn't have us, and back then, Chris, the videos were much longer, weren't they?
15 minutes.
We're talking 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It went really, really quickly. And so our attention as people who were kind of jaded in the industry, you had about 30 seconds before you were in danger of getting somebody saying next.
And that's it, is that we see that 30 seconds is that crucial mark. And so for anyone who's thinking about their speaker video today, like the big takeaway is you do have to be ultra clear about the problem you solve. And this is not new. When they hear it, it's like, duh. But today, more than ever, you have to identify that problem you solve and your solution to it within 30 seconds. And so, like, for example, our editors are trained like obsessively. They take it. We go through 3 months of training before someone even makes a video for us. And then it's more, and then it's more training. But they are so good at finding where someone in their keynote talks about the problem and starting the video that way, because you have to have a problem identified and your solution to it. Mm-hmm. Right. And when you start your video out, the outline of a great video is you're identifying the problem, giving them a solution, and then you're moving into insight that they didn't know about their problem. When you're doing that for a brain, it's like, ooh, I didn't know that. Right. And only then are we then quickly moving into the credibility piece, right? Yes. Why you're uniquely qualified to do it. And right after that, you have to give them some type of plan. if you're going to solve this problem, here's what it's going to take. And when the brain is both hearing the problem, then hearing insight into it, and then next, the brain is getting this like quick synopsis of, wow, this person is extremely qualified to solve this problem. And then you say, and here's what you're going to have to do if you want to get this right. They're not going to turn it off because they got to know, what is it?
What do you
Right?
need to do? Yes.
And every time you say that one thing to do right or one thing to do different, you want to back that up with a very quick, very short 3 to 5 written word testimonial. This worked for us. Right. And if you can do all of that in 2 minutes and 45 seconds or less, you've got a winning combination there. And so I would say the biggest change in the speaker industry is that people really used to give videos 3 to 4 minutes sometimes if they were really compelled. But
Yes.
now we're seeing people turn it off a minute 22. 2 minutes and 22 seconds is kind of the longest we see people watch videos on the first time.
Okay.
And so you got the problem, you got the solution. And I can give examples of how to do that in your speaker video, but that is the secret today. You got to solve that problem in the first 30 seconds.
I love it. I love it. And we talk about that on websites too. We need that promise up front and center. Don't make me dig around for it. It needs to be above the fold, and I need to see it in the first 5 seconds, or if I don't see what I'm looking for, I'm out of there.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So we know that what's changed in terms of video and the industry is that our attention span, and is it any surprise that attention spans have gotten shorter?
No.
I mean, we live in a TikTok world. Is it any surprise that attention spans have gotten shorter?
Right. But that's that other side. And this is where I knew we needed something like Outspeak Media in the world, is that, and plenty of people are doing it, so it's nothing new, but it's just so important that they see from you 6 to 8 times. And so they might watch your speaker video and be like, huh, but if they watch your speaker video and then on LinkedIn, you've got regular content where you are solving those problems, or you've got the 1 minute clip about this, you've got another 1 minute clip about this, they start just seeing more and more from you. And that's where that idea came from, is like, we were like, okay, we need a way for people to, this is the other fun thing, is to film any event they have anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. So since 2020, we've been building a global network of trained videographers. And soon we're going to be launching a platform where simply people can just type in the name of wherever they're going to be, and there'll be a trained team that will pop up, 2 to 3 in that location, including every Canadian province, Puerto Rico, China, like, many of the different places we don't have anyone in Russia, but we do have places in China and Puerto Rico, all over the United States, every province in Canada. And these are trained teams who film the before, the during, and after. And people need a way to go, okay, I'm speaking in Ontario, Canada. Great. And I need a video team there. And then I want it broken into 8 to 10 clips after, ready to go for social media, so that I can, with consistency, have a specific budget that I have in mind, which is maybe like 10% of my speaking fee I reinvest to turning every engagement that's a quality one into more ways that people can find me.
That is so good. We did a whole podcast on this. Is Sean Canugo one of your clients?
I don't think so. No.
So Sean talks about the name of the podcast is Innovative Marketing for Your Speaking Business. He films everything. Mm-hmm. He needs your service, actually. I'm going to connect the two of you, because he films everything, and he goes and resources his own video crew for every city he goes to, and films everything with that exact idea in mind, that he is going to go out and he's going to post it on social media in lots of different ways. And I love that you're talking about, just let people see you 6 to 8 times, be around, be, somebody who made a comment on something they said on LinkedIn even. I mean, that's your presence. They're just going to say, oh, I keep seeing that Chris West guy everywhere.
Exactly. And the secret is, if they see your name everywhere, but you're always solving the same problem. And I
Mm,
don't care what it is. I don't care if you're talking about burnout and you want to be the best for burnout because you know that that is going to be a very heavy market of lots of competitors. But if they hear you talking about burnout in a unique way, six
yeah.
to eight times, they're going to take note of you. And so you have to look throughout your background and your career and get obsessively clear about the one problem you are best at helping clients solve.
Oh,
Right.
you're really making me think about this because and we talk about picking a lane, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
solving that one problem. And I have people who are writing books outside their lane. They're doing TikToks outside their lane. They're writing articles outside their lane, not helping people.
Yeah.
All you're doing is muddying the water for your client. Chris, what you just said is completely reinforcing this idea of not only picking a lane, but picking one problem that you solve and show
Yeah.
people in different ways how you solve it.
Yeah, and do it in a way that feels fun to you. And a great example is one of the things I always recommend people do is of all the things they do on LinkedIn, pick one day a week that you can do with consistency that is a fun way that you solve the problem that you're best at. So
Mm,
an example, Jason O'Harris, who is a good friend of yours and a former
mhm.
client of both of ours, is he does a donut day with his daughter every Friday. Every Friday,
Yeah.
him and his daughter go and get donuts.
Donuts,
And
yes.
we talked about, what's a fun way that, he solves this lack of trust in organizations,
Hmm.
right? And what better way for him to build trust and connection with his family and his daughters every Friday for him to get a donut with her.
Hmm.
So we talked about, okay, well, if every week people can just consistently hear from you in one way or another, that way you're free to do as much LinkedIn and other posts as possible. But like, what if every Friday there was this donut moment? Right. And again, it's a way that's fun for him. He likes it. And it's a part of his weekly rhythm where it's like, in one way or another, every week on a specific day, let's do something that's on brand for you that people hear from you
Love
on
it.
a problem that you solve. Right.
I,
And just do it with consistency that makes it so steady. You just have to be clear about that one problem you're best at solving and the
yeah.
best solution that you have for it and the methodology to get people there. And you got to say it over and over and over. And then have a lot of fun in the variety of which ways you do it, but don't break from it.
Yeah, I love that. And you're making me think about my reels, maybe dialing them in to be even more focused on one of the problems inside the speaking industry. We've kind of had the whole gamut, including, personal things and stuff like that. But I like the idea of bringing it back to one problem. That's so good, Chris. Talk about when people arrive at your doorstep, what are some of the mistakes you've seen in their past videos?
With clients, with speakers in the video.
Mm. Yeah.
I think more than anything is that people don't know how to tell a story with their speaker video.
Okay.
And as a result, they're either usually at the whim of two things. Either they're with the whim of the editor, whichever kind of direction that editor wants to take. And or two, they are kind of following, hey, this video looked good. I want a video like that. So they're just following what looked good in the industry, right? But if people understand that the way that our brain processes information in story is that whenever we want something, we have a problem, and that is how do we get it? And so you have to get really clear about what your clients want and what the problem is to get there. So if you do solve lack of engagement, those kinds of things, or burnout, well, what's the problem and what's it costing them? And so in this beginning of your video, you have to do one of two things. Either you have to ask the question that they're asking themselves, and it looks like this. So often as I work with organizations throughout the country, what I consistently hear is leaders ask me boom and boom and boom when you're naming the problem that they're asking them,
Yeah.
right? In the beginning of your video. And so if you're on stage or if you get something recorded, I know so many in this room, and you're asking yourself these questions. How do we solve turnover, right? How do we do that? Like if any type of question is one of the key areas that will identify the problem, and then you
Mm.
have to give us a solution to it. What will really move the needle in this area is blank. Or if we're going to be the kinds of leaders who create this thing, here's what we're going to have to focus on going forward. And you have to give us your answer, right? So that's the one way. Or two, you have to tell a story. You have to start us off with, recently I was working with a CEO named Janet, whose company has gone through massive shifts like many of ours in the last 3 years. Half of our employees are hybrid, half work, in the office. And one of the things that Janet was telling me was that they haven't seen exhaustion and burnout like this before. And it's something that so many leaders tell me every day. And when Janet was asking me how we solve that, I shared one idea with her. And it's the idea I want to share with all of you today. Again, it's like, there's the problem and there's the answer. And if you can do that in the first 30 seconds, that's the way you start your video. And then the video then picks it up to say, whatever, Barry is the best at solving this. And you got to be so bold in the way you say it, is one of the leading experts on burnout in the world. They wrote in this book, done this thing, boom, boom. And you're giving them the insight. And you say, if we're going to solve that, it's going to take a process. And here's how we have to start thinking differently. And you give them the insights of how they start thinking different, give them a plan for change with social proof, and then finish with the results of what things can happen. And so those are the 5 elements in a speaker video: the problem and the insight to the problem, credibility, a path forward, and the results. And when you get those things right, the brain has heard a complete story and makes them be like, I think that speaker compared to the other one, and they don't know how.
You're going to want to come back to the show notes on this one, because we are going to give this all to you in a beautiful digest. Go over to speakerlauncher.com and click on the podcast. If you don't see Chris's right there, just search Chris and he'll come up. Once again, my friend, you have just rocked my world. I cannot wait to talk to you more about this. Tell everybody, if they want to get in touch with you, Chris, what they should do.
Yeah, our company's called videonarrative.com videonarrative.com. If you just go there, fill out the form, we'll get back to you within less than 24 hours. And above all, what I want people to know is, I think a lot of people choose not to reach out because they don't think they're ready. And over time, as we know, the habits, right, is I've never forgotten. I don't know if you guys all remember the first time you read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'll just never forget the number 1 habit is being proactive.
Yes.
Right. And I love when people are like, hey, it's 8 months before I think I'm going to be ready, but I want to reach out. Right. I love when people are proactive. And I think you're the same. It's like,
I do.
Reach out, try something, have a conversation, even if it's not the right time. It always makes me happy when people are proactive and are just moving things forward before they think they're ready, because there's just too many people waiting to get ready, waiting to get the next thing, wanting certainty. When this is in place, then I'll do that. And I think take a step and certainty will come along the way as you walk your path.
So good. So is good. You have laid down the gold for us today, Chris West. Thank you so much for being here. I do believe an eclipse is happening outside my window. So I'm going to say thank you for listening, everybody. Chris, thank you for your time today. And with that, we're going to say, see you soon, Wealthy Speakers. Bye for now, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast. If you need help building the speaking business of your dreams, head over to wealthyspeakerschool.com and take advantage of our 20-minute next step call. Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Speaker Podcast.